But tonight, we would like to take, let's say, a moment to sit down in this idea and to see what happens when we come over here to study, when we come and when we connect with higher minds. Jussara will be talking to us about the spiritual side of the Spiritist Center, so we can better understand what happens behind the scenes, if you will. Jussara Korngold, besides being a good friend, not only of many of us here, but also of the dissemination of Spiritism, she is one of the founders and directors of the Spirits Group of New York, and currently the Vice President of United States Spirits Council. As we have said before, in our previous announcements as well, if we have many of the literatures that we have nowadays in English, she's one of the individuals behind. Not showing herself or not putting herself out there, but is someone who is working, who's diligently studying with other minds as well, whether in Brazil, whether here or in other countries as well, to disseminate it, to bring consolation to our hearts. And there's no better way to do so, to be charitable to Spiritism in itself, by disseminating, as we hear from Emmanuel. So tonight, the proposal is that we'll give about an hour, a little bit more than an hour, to Jussara to speak. We will open up for questions, about 15 or more than 20 minutes for questions towards the end. We will keep the lights dimmed this way, so we can better see the slides as well, because it's important for us to see, for us to understand what she's talking about and what she's about to bring to us. So with no further ado, Jussara, please. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. It's with heartfelt humbleness that I find myself here at the Spiritist Society of Baltimore. And I would like to thank the benefactors of this center, the directors of this center, for the opportunity of being among you tonight. Many times when we get into a Spiritist center, even though we may be very familiar with the work that is developed here, we may be even practitioners of the Spiritist Center, it's difficult for us to realize the immense work that the spirits perform for us to be here. It's not without reason that when we come to a Spiritist Center, our heart beats faster. We feel happiness. We feel a certain peace, a certain comfort. It is due to the work of these dedicated spirits benefactors. But it's very important for us to each time more to understand that, to connect more with those spirits, to be able to do our part as well, to contribute for the enlightenment in each and every sense of each one of us and for the work of the Spiritist Center. Actually, much of the presentation we are going to be using tonight is from a book. So if you are studying a book, and the name of the book is Seara do Bem, in the field of the goodness, and the drawings you are going to be seeing are drawings that were developed by a group of people in Brazil that is called Project Image and Action, and they do a beautiful work. So we are going to be going with that, and if you have questions, just save it for later, okay? So let us just get to know a little bit of the characters we are going to be talking about tonight. Our main character is Tonini, which is the spiritual, or let's call him Tony, okay, it's going to be easier, is spiritual author of the book. Cândido, that is the spirit that is going to take him to the Spiritist Center. Joel, that is the spirit responsible for the group they are going to visit. And others, Cornelius and Marcos, that also are going to be helping Tonini to get around. What is happening here? So the thing is, Tonini, as you can see here, he passed away. But he was a spiritist. And as a good spiritist, as soon as he found himself liberated in the spirit realm, and as soon as possible, one of his desires was to actually be capable of returning to the Spiritist Center that he used to attend, this time as a spirit and not as an incarnate. Definitely something that I imagine all of us will want to do, right? I mean, now I've been here so many years, so many times. I wanted to see what happens on the other side. So he's taking to the Spiritist Center for a visit. And he was actually very happy with the opportunity. And although he was a dedicated worker for decades in the Spiritist Center that he used to attend, he could not grasp necessarily what is all the work of the spirits behind that. So, sorry, I'm not using this, but perhaps I should. Just a second. Because I'm going to be using the laser, and then it's going to make it easier, I think, to do like this. So they arrive at the Spiritist Center, and they meet Joel, that is the spiritual guide, the one that is in charge of the center. Every Spiritist Center has a benefactor that is in charge of the work. So for us to imagine that this just came about out of nowhere is a very wrong idea. Not only it was very well planned in the realm of the living, but it was very well planned in the realm of the spirits. And even before our reincarnation, we had already committed ourselves to the work we are going to be developing in this or that Spiritist Center. It doesn't matter necessarily whether we know who is the spiritual guide of a house or not. There are always several spirits that help in the whole, in all the activities that we will be having. But there is always one that is in charge. And that is the one that we could say is actually the responsible for the group. And in this case here is Joel. He greets Tonini, and they are there, all other workers as well, to start preparing for the work and to receive the incarnates. So he reminds everyone that every time that we serve the little ones, like Jesus said, is to him that we are serving. So we see here the group of spirits arriving to the place to help to put all the atmosphere, all the work that is going to be developed, and to assist everything that is going to happen. They arrive at the Spiritist. Let's say today we started a little before 6 p.m. They arrived here, God knows what time, maybe yesterday, just to prepare the meeting for today. But definitely many hours prior to our arrival. Even if it's a place that is already dedicated for that is completely in sync with the spirits, completely in balance, they are going to come and start preparing, start doing their part. The same way that we arrive and we have to set up the computer, set up the webcam, all of that. They also do that in terms of preparing the atmosphere, the ambient, doing the cleansing that is necessary. They already know what sort of work they are going to be performing here tonight. So it's a complete, fantastic work that they do. And they say that they divide themselves in 4 sectors: the defense, nursing, enlightenment, and communication. And we are going to be seeing each one of them, each one of these sectors. Everything that we are going to be talking about here in terms of a Spiritist Center can be applied as well for the God at home. Okay? If we do our God at home once a week at the same time as we learn that we should be doing, we will have the same kind of preparation. The spirits will be there. The spirits are going to help. The spirits are going to be attending us, attending the spirits that are there, the spirits that are in the neighborhood. So when we talk about, of course, in a Spiritist Center, is in a larger scale. But when we talk about the Spiritist Center, think also in the prayer that you may be having in your home and trying to understand how beneficial it is for you to bring that to your home. So, Tonini, of course, very much like André Luiz, he's there to ask questions, right? He wants to understand everything. And so he wants to know what are the requirements for the workers, for the practitioners on the Spiritist side to be helping. And they say that it's goodwill, good inner dispositions, balanced psychological tendencies. So they do not need to be graduating in spiritual studies, this or that, but of course they have to be capable of maintaining a good psychological vibration, be well with their emotions in order to help and not to be on the side that needs more assistance than actually are capable of providing us with assistance. So what is the sector of defense? There are spirits that will be in charge of mobilizing magnetic currents, group of spirits to preserve the ambient where we are going to be coming. So as soon as we set foot here, we are in a complete different spiritual atmosphere than if I just go out from that door off. They analyze the whole perimeter. They do everything, all the cleansing that has to be done. That's why, even though we have just this small room here, the whole building is going somehow to benefit from the spirit, from their presence, because they will be doing a general cleansing on the area just to help us, to preserve us. And we will see why it's so important. Because if we do not have this defense, do you remember, were you looking at the first slide? There are many spirits that will just want to get into here to prevent us from learning, to prevent us from receiving assistance. So this is actually crucial in the work we have to develop here. Many, unfortunately, are still enemies of the light because they do not have the will, the strength to work on their inner transformation. They do not want others to work on their transformation as well. It's very easy when we can say, oh, I'm like this, but, half of the world is like me. So you're okay, or you feel okay. But it doesn't mean that half of the world, because half of the world behave in a certain way, you are behaving in a good way. So it's much easier to say, well, I tried, but I can't see. Nobody can do that as well. So that's the reason, one of the reasons those spirits do not want us to advance, because then they will run out of excuse. They cannot say, well, I cannot do because it's hard. Well, they are doing there, so I can do it myself as well. The other sector that we mentioned is the nursing. Of course, medical services. Of course, this is related to the service of passes, to all the treatments we are going to be receiving when we come to a Spiritist Center. And this is very important for us to think about it, because one of the things is we doesn't necessarily need people that were totally related to medical services, but of course those that will have the knowledge of the physiology of the physical body will be a little more prepared to work in this sector. But remember in the book, Nosso Lar, in the movie Nosso Lar, when André Luiz, a very famous doctor, wanted to work in the field of medicine, and they say, listen, you understand of the medicine on earth, not on the medicine of the spirit. So they have to go to some preparation as well to understand more the mechanisms of the spiritual physiology, to be able to assist. So they are going to be the ones that are going to be treating us throughout the night, not necessarily just when we receive passes. From the moment we enter into the Spiritist Center, if we put ourselves in connection with the spirits, immediately we are going to be assisted. They do not need to wait for, the talk to end, the passes to begin. If they see that we are in need now, they start preparing us for what we came here to see, to put us in a much better condition. Okay? And they work, of course, mostly in the perispirit, because we know that the physical body only reflects the illness that we bring in our spirits. So unless we start thinking about it, start correcting ourselves, doing this work that is so hard of inner transformation, it's going to be very difficult for us to rid ourselves from the so many illnesses that we still bring within us. The other sector is enlightenment and communication, which is the one responsible, is the Daniel from the spiritual aspect, that will be on top of every device, everything that has to be used. They also have communicating devices that they talk to each other. Okay, that person that was going to be receiving this kind of treatment is just arriving. Get ready. I don't know how they do that, but they have this kind of devices. They have electromagnetic screens. Even before we had the plasma TV, they had all of that. All this apparatus that we are just starting to develop on Earth. Like they say, very soon we will have the soul phones, right? And then we will be able to talk to our loved ones. I hope we will have that soon. Anyways, and also for the work of the communication. So the one that is going to be responsible for the talk, for the coordination of the study, will also be connected with this group of communication, because they have to be helping us and directing us in this way. So everything that is happening now, as we see, we still do not have a living soul here, or better yet, we just have one that arrived early to open the center, to open the door for the public that is just going to start arriving. At this point, Tonini, as a spiritist, knowing, of course, not being completely unaware, clueless about what happened, he is already very astonished with everything that is seen, the organization of the groups, the work they are going to be developing. And one thing that he asks Marcos, that is guiding him and explaining to him everything, is if every Spiritist center receives the same kind of treatment on the part of the spirits. And what they say here is that not necessarily. There are Spiritist centers that are not oriented by Spiritist tenets and teachings of Jesus' gospel. They use mediumship to attend the immediate interests of their patrons. So, at first, they understand the so many limitations we have. We all are here trying to struggle to conquer our inner beasts. And of course, even when we have the best of intention to do the best work that we can, to improve ourselves in favor of everyone that comes here, we still have our imperfections. But if they know and they see that we are struggling or that we are actually committed, making an effort to do the best that we can, they will stay with us. And they will be patient, and they will wait for us to grow. And growth will come, because if we really desire to do that, growth will come. But on the other hand, there are groups that have no interest whatsoever to provide this kind of enlightenment and comfort. They are more worried about the phenomena or just to have immediate results, sometimes just focusing on healing or something. And they may slip along the way and not necessarily receive the best assistance possible. So it's something that we have to think about. And each one of us, not only those that are responsible, but each one of us are actually responsible for that. From the moment we get into a Spiritist Center, we have to help the work of the spirits, the whole atmosphere, the whole preparation, they do that here. That's why sometimes, people think that a Spiritist Center is a place that is very strict, speak in a low voice, not loud laughs, because we have to respect the spirits. The problem is we don't see them. If we could see the spirits that are here helping us, we would feel embarrassed sometimes. With the way we behave sometimes so childish, and the way that we dress. Sometimes, God forbid, when it's summer, I feel so worried about how people are going to get into the Spiritist Center. Sometimes we have people that come wearing shorts and flip-flops. And we have to tell them, this is not the place for that. This is a temple. If I had the chance to be talking to Obama, I would not go in this way. And we are talking here about spirits that are much more important than our president in terms of spirituality, in terms of the spiritual world, in terms of moral ascendancy. And we just don't think about it, how respectful we should be. There is one thing that I'm sure many of you here know, Divaldo Franco. I remember that once he was telling me that many times the spiritual guide of Divaldo Franco, the Honorable Joanna of Angeles, she comes during the middle of the night to dictate her books to him. And of course, he's sleeping or he is, in his pajamas. He says, the first thing I do when she arrives is to put my jacket on. And they have been together for decades. She comes in the middle of the night. He's alone in his bedroom, but he's still knowing how noble that spirit is. He refuses even externally to not present himself in a good way, in a proper way to receive her. Those are things that we have to think about. So now people are arriving at the Spiritist Center, and if we could see from the outside, we would be seeing something like that. Here we have the incarnates. The door is always open for everyone that wants to come in and to enjoy of this spiritual banquet. But to the spirits, this is not something that happens. They are going to be doing a triage at the door. This spirit can come in, this one cannot. Of course, we are not just talking about spirits that still present a certain degree of inferiority. We are talking more about wicked spirits. Spirits that really want to come here to disturb completely completely the meeting. They do not have any intention of paying attention. On the contrary, they try to penetrate this room to prevent us to have a productive service. So those are going to be stopped at the door and will not be capable of penetrating the room. Of course, we will have inferior negative spirits here. I'm one of them, incarnate one. We all, can you imagine if we were going to be forbidden at the door? No, we wouldn't be here. But these spirits that, like us, are looking to become more spiritualized, to learn more, are tired of suffering, they are going to be allowed to get into the room. But even those that stayed outside, because God is mercy above all, although they cannot penetrate, they cannot cross the defense lines that are around us, they will be capable of hearing everything that we do here. They have speakers outside. And those speakers, they will be hearing everything that we say here. As you can imagine, by looking at this, one place that I do not like to stand and to stay for longer is outside of a Spiritist Center. So when everything finishes here, you talk to each other, you enjoy the company of others, you look at the books, you do the appreciations for the talk, etc. When you cross the door, just go to your car and leave. Don't stay outside because you can't connect to those spirits. There are people that sometimes they come to the Spiritist Center, and because of their thoughts and because of how they open themselves to them, they are going to be, like making a negative comment, a gossip, or something like that. They will open themselves to this crowd here, and they will leave here sometimes feeling a headache, arriving home, worse than when you left. And then you get home and your partners will say, "Oh my God, you came from the Spiritist Center, are you sure?" It seems that you are returning worse than when you left. And this is something that they try to do exactly to prevent us from coming. Because then you will say, every time I come here, I leave, I get into an accident, or I ran out of gas, or I go home and I feel worse than before, I have a headache. It's not the Spiritist Center. It's us connecting with negativity that is there out of our own free will. So we have to be watchful. You have to be vigilant. And they try to do that to prevent works like this one to continue going on, okay? So when we use resources such as music, for instance, it's just to put people's mind at ease. We arrive from the outside. Sometimes we had a hard time arriving here, and actually many times, the day that we have to come to the Spiritist Center, it can be the worst. Everything happens that day, or anything can happen that day. You struggle to go. We had people that came to our Spiritist Center for the first time it's hard to believe. They come at the door, and they don't see that there is the place, and they do not enter. We had 2 or 3 people already that came to our Spiritist Center, stepped outside the door, and couldn't see that there was the center. And then they write and they call and they said, "I was in the building, I went there, I went to this room, there was nothing there." If I hadn't heard from myself, and actually a few times, I wouldn't believe it. It seems amazing, incredible sometimes what can happen. So, but we come from the streets, all, still under the effects of our daily lives. And when we arrive here, if there is a soft music, it helps us to change our vibration of, very agitated one to a calmer one, and then we are going to be more connected or able to connect with the spirits. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. It does help. Yes, it does help. Even sometimes when we may have, it's hard because after a while, we all get to know each other. We want to talk to each other. It's like, a friendly environment. It's family. It's a Spiritist family. But this is not the place for us to talk. But we get carried away sometimes. Sometimes in our Spiritist Center, we have that. And so we have the music. And when people start talking a little louder than they should, I go there and I put the music even louder, and then, okay. They already know that they are not forbidden to talk, but they have to be using their quiet voices and preferably not even talking. That's the thing. If we could see, the moments we arrive here, that we have a private assistance to ourselves. You can be the first one to arrive at the center, and all the spirits that are here are just at your service. You can talk to them. You can ask them for the guidance and help that you need. If you open yourself to that, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And the same reason that we do the prayer, again, to help people to calm down, but at the same thing, to show our gratitude to those spirits. Because we are talking about a level of spirit that we would not have access unless we were doing what we are doing. We were trying to improve ourselves. Those are very elevated spirits. Not all of them, but some of the spirits that are here, the one that is responsible for Spiritist Society of Baltimore, is a highly evolved spirit. A spirit that we would not have access unless we were doing what we are doing. And so this is something that we have to realize. And so when we pray to show them our appreciation, to understand how their dedication to us, their commitment, their sacrifice, their love to us. And of course, when we are talking, we are, guiding or coordinating a study, we are going to be connected with the spirits. They are going to be using our possibilities, like they say. Like they say here, the speaker is not simply a microphone through which the spirits speak, but an active instrument of the intuitive phenomenon. So it's not that I have to come here and say, well, the spirits are going to do the job. I don't have to prepare myself. If we don't prepare ourselves, nothing's going to happen. We are not going to have any other chance to come here and to talk again. They have to use our possibilities. They have to work through what I can provide them to work. They can. If I wanted to paint a paint, and I only have blue and red, and I wanted to paint in purple, they cannot. We don't have purple. Or maybe if I mix up the two of them, I just came to my mind now. Yeah, okay, they can do that. Let's see another color. Oh my God, what color? Yellow. Maybe yellow, no. Okay, so yellow. They cannot do that. I don't have yellow. So they will do the best they can with what I have. And we'll make, the ideas come easily. It's amazing. I've been giving this talk for a long time already. And, of course, generally speaking, most of the things, or 50% of the things are going to be the same. But in each place that I go, it's a different talk. I mean, we emphasize one point more than another, and I believe that we are guided in a way to stress more certain aspects that will be more necessary for a particular place or for that group of people. So we are connected with the spirits. But what happens during the talk? And why do you come to a Spiritist Center to hear someone talking? To receive enlightenment, of course. But at the same time that we are here, receiving the treatment and the assistance of the spirits, we are capable as well of, through the knowledge that is coming, through the words that the speakers are providing to us, to get into a sort of a catharsis and start thinking about our lives, thinking about our behavior, thinking about what we are doing. And so the group of people that are there should not be completely passive. They should be mentally interacting with the message that has been conveyed to them. And not just sitting there thinking, okay, she's going to be talking for another half an hour. Okay, if she stops at 7:15, maybe I can beat the traffic or something like that. I mean, this is not why we are here for. I'm always in favor of doing things with quality than quantity. If you come to a Spiritist Center, or if you dedicate, yourself to spirituality once a week or twice a week, 1 hour, 2 hours, do it the best way that you can. Take advantage of that moment, that situation. Connect with the spirits that are there. Even sometimes if what the speaker is saying is kind of boring, he's not a good speaker or something, try to connect with the good spirits. Pray for the speaker to get better, just something, to change its way or something like that. So it's very important for us not to be filling our minds with things that have nothing to do with what we are doing here. You do the sacrifice to be here on a Saturday at 6 p.m. on a beautiful day. You should be taking advantage of that, right? You are not obliged to be here, right? And you should take the most of it in terms of using this time. I know that our mind can wander. And, bring the mind back. Bring it back, pull your thoughts and stay connected with the spirits. Because, what happens is, like in this example here, while the speaker was talking about forgiveness, about patience, this person here started remembering that after she came to the Spiritist Center, she had an argument with her mom. And she left slamming the door. And now she's there in the Spiritist Center thinking, in a calmer way, hearing, how important it is for us to be forgiving, to have patience, to understand the limitations of others. And so doing this process of being an active participant with what is happening, she starts immediately thinking, when I get back home, I'm going to talk to my mom and I'm going to ask her, to say I'm sorry. Okay? There are people, and actually many of us, when we arrive at the Spiritist Center, we look like this lady here. We come filled with negative thoughts that oppress our heart, that can even give us a heart attack. And what is amazing here is what they are talking, the Marcus, the Spiritist, is telling Tonini. She is there, like yourselves, hearing me talk, okay? Thinking, okay, I'm just here listening to Jussara talking. No. While you're listening to me, and if you are really doing this work that I'm saying, they are going to be treating you. So she is already being treated. They are going to be removing all of this negativity from her, all this energy from her. But they say, of course, if she keeps, when she lives here, if she keeps herself connected with negativity, with these pessimistic thoughts, she will bring that back to us. That, the reason why sometimes we actually come to the Spiritist Center bringing a heavy load, and we leave here feeling light, but then, darn it, I cannot keep up, this same mental state the whole week, right? This is our goal. We should try to get back to the way we were before coming here. But, it's part of what we are. But help yourself and heavens will help you. And sometimes what we just need to do is to do like this. We don't even need to give the whole hand for them to rescue us. Just a little finger, and they come and they pick us up and they help us. But we have to do our part. These things like, go to the Spiritist Center and pray for me. It doesn't happen that way. People that are going to just be thinking about their professional lives. There's nothing wrong about us, being worried about our professional lives. We need to have a job. We need money to survive. But then again, when we are here, think about what you're doing here. Because sometimes you are in the work thinking, nice, now tonight I'm going to be at the Spiritist Center. So you are not doing your job well. And then when you come to the Spiritist Center, you think about your work. So you're never where you should be, right? So we have to be training about that as well. The problem of sleepiness. There are only 2 reasons why we are going to be sleeping. None of them are good. First one. Because we don't have any interest in what is happening. Okay, our mind may want to be here, but not that much. So our body is going to rest, not be capable of maintaining ourselves. And then we'll come up with excuse, I had a hard day, and I had insomnia, and this and that. But if you were outside with friends, in a restaurant, or having fun and talking in a party, you wouldn't be sleeping. But here at the Spiritist Center, it's because it's so calm. It's so nice to be here. It's conducive to sleep. No. It's lack of interest. And the second reason, which is even worse, is that we are under a spiritual attack. We are suffering from obsession or spiritual attachment, as we say. These are the only 2 reasons why we are going to be sleeping in the Spirit Center. Okay, maybe one day you come, you really had a lousy night, a lousy day. You couldn't hold yourself. But it has to be a complete exception. Okay, the reasons will be only these 2. There are people that will say, no, it's because I'm a medium. Okay. Yeah, and I have beautiful out-of-body experiences when I am in the Spiritist Center. Think like Kardec asked us to think, with reason. Do you think that when we come here for enlightenment, to learn, with all the work of the Spirit, there are, it's much, much more than the work that we do. They are going to take you out of your body to have mediumistic phenomena happening to you. This is just the work of obsessors. It's not mediumship. It's not out-of-the-body experience. You want to have out-of-the-body experience, go home and sleep and, and go whatever you want while you're here. So I say that one of the charitable works that we can do in the Spiritist Center is If you see your neighbor kind of, falling asleep on their chair, move a little more. Do something like this. Cough loud. Sneeze. Do something to see if you can bring them back to the place, because it's not a good thing at all. Okay? And the more we perceive that sleepiness wanted to take over us, the more we have to try to combat it, because it's only these two options. Okay? Of course, we are not alone. Thank God. We have the good spirits, but we also have the ones that came with us. And those are not just spirits that just, I was in the neighborhood. No. Those are spirits that were connected to us. They are connected with family members. They are connected with friends that will be guided to follow us and to come to this place. And of course, sometimes they bring others from the spirit realm as well. But the majority will be connected to the Spiritist Center, will be connected to each one of us that comes here in all the days of the meeting. And now we have, the PowerPoint presentation. And I have to tell you something. Do you know how I'm capable of doing those beautiful presentations? Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks to Daniel. I learned from him. If it was not him, I would still be struggling. He taught me everything that I needed to know from about PowerPoint, and I'm very grateful to him. So now we have all of this, but even before we had the PowerPoint presentations and all of that, the spirits already could see the images that the speaker will be bring about when they are talking about certain passages of the gospel, or when we talk, like here, we are talking about the presence of the Spirit, their holiness, and all of that. Also, while we are here, like I say, sometimes we have this idea that you're not doing anything. Well, you have to have a relationship with the speaker, with the one that is coordinating the study. You will be doing this catharsis. You are going to be already receiving treatment, each one of us individually. And at the same time, I don't know whether you have here the book for the name. When we come here and we write down the names there, they related, of course, to people that we know. They will also be working with those names that we put in the healing book. But how do they do that? Look at this. They had iPads before we did, right? It's amazing. They can see, they see the name. They see the person that put down the name, that wrote down the name. But they say that it's very important when we write down the name of someone there, that we actually do that with a sincere desire to help, thinking about a prayer. Not just, I'm leaving for the center and my colleague at work say, you're going right there to your prayers. Put down my name there, And then he said, okay, she asked me to put her name down again. Let me put it here. It's not going to work. They see, it shines. The names that we write down with the sincere desire to help, it highlights to them. They can see it in a different way. And it's so amazing sometimes when people come to us and say, you go there and pray for me because your prayers are much more effective than mine. You know why our prayers are more effective than theirs? Because we pray they don't. Just that, simple as that. Every prayer can be effective if we pray. If we really want to connect with God. So we don't need anybody else to pray praying for us. We could do that ourselves. Of course, when, situations get really difficult, we join forces and say, now everyone is going to be talking to the Spirit so that we can receive assistance. So what they see here, From that name there, that is the name of Antonio, they see the image of this lady that was, and they even know her age. Can you imagine that? We cannot hide our age from the spirit. That's scary. And they locate her in the audience, and they see that she's worried about Antonio. So they go there next to her. They look at their mental possibilities, and they see that she's worried with Antonio, that is her son, of whom the wife has left him and the 2 children. And he's very depressive, and she's very worried about him. So immediately, 2 workers left to Antonio's house. Can you imagine how many workers they have in terms of spirits? 2 already went there. All the rest are here. All the other names. There's that's why, we have to think about the greatness of those spirits that work and assist us. And to actually respect their work and be grateful to the work they do with us. Because we don't have the faintest idea of what they do to us all the time. Many times when we are, going through difficult suffering, we say, "Oh, I prayed, and but it seems that things are not getting resolved." We have to go through certain experiences. We have to go through certain situations in order for us to grow, in order for us to learn from certain experiences. But the thing is, they actually remove a lot of the burdens that we have in our way. But we don't know. So let's say that I have to go through, to endure a certain trial that is 100% difficult. But because they see that I'm trying to do the best that I can, and I'm trying to dedicate, to be charitable and this and that, they say, well, we cannot remove 100% of her suffering, but we can remove 80% of her suffering. But she'll have to go through with 20. I don't know they remove it 80%, and I complain about the 20. This is how they help us, and we do not even have a clue that they are helping us. And we are still complaining that it's too hard. And they took the most of it from us. If they see that we are going to, that we actually deserve that, but we still have to go through certain things. In terms of the passes, when we are receiving passes, it's also very important for us to know how we have to put ourselves in preparation for the passes. The more we put ourselves in a state of meditation, in a state of prayer, the more we are going to be getting out of the body. Now you can get out of the body. We are going to be kind of exteriorizing, emancipating from our physical body, like when we see here. And since the healing comes from the perispirit, the more I am in this state of prayer, of meditation, and exteriorize it from my physical body, the more effective the passes will be, because they will be capable of working with the perispirit in a much easier way than if I was not connected, or if I were completely connected with the physical body. So sometimes people say, "Oh my God, I receive it so much." A colleague will say, "I didn't feel anything, I didn't receive anything." It's because of us as well. It's not because the past giver is better than the other one. Oh, maybe your past giver was better than mine. First of all, we are actually receiving passes from the spirits. The past giver, yes, it gives a little something. We give from ourselves. We give from our magnetism. But the spirits are the one in charge and using and doing everything. So it's not saying, oh, she's going to receive more than she is. But maybe, she brings a bigger bucket and she can get more water than she can get with just a little cup. So it depends on us, on how we open ourselves to be receiving assistance. For instance, if we are, again, just thinking about something else, thinking that the past giver will do everything by itself, we will be completely disconnected from what is happening and not capable of receiving what we came for. Again, if we go to the trouble of coming here once a week, twice a week, be here. Take the advantage of connecting with the spirits. So now the work on the part of the incarnates is over. People are leaving very happy, as you see, but the work of the spirits do not end. That's why also when we finish our studies, we also ask people to kind of continue being respectful to the place, and because they still are here receiving and treating the spirits that they removed from us, that were spiritually attached to us. But the one thing that is very important that they say here that I would like to read to you, the science of earth itself has stated that there are ill people and not illnesses. Health will always be the externalization of inner balance someone achieved through communion with the natural laws, while illnesses is the purge of mental imbalances present on those who still insist on walking in a manner contrary to the superior codes that govern us. The main task of a Spiritist institution is not to perform healing miracles, but enlighten the consciences. So this is what we come here for, because we need to start learning about ourselves, about who we are in terms of being an immortal spirit. What is going to happen to me after I leave here? Am I going to die? This is the end of me? No, we already know. And actually 90% of the religions of the world believe in the immortality of the soul. Christians, Catholics, Protestants, Buddhists, Taoists, Kabbalah, Judaism, Muslims, all of them say that they believe in the immortality of the soul. The difference that we have, that some have, some don't, is about reincarnation. But immortality of the soul is not a question. It's not a problem. Reincarnation is what they may question. So we are immortal. What is going to happen to me after that? I want to know. I want to understand. What am I going to be doing with my immortality, with eternity? So when I come to the Spiritist Center and I get this knowledge and I get this understanding and I receive comfort with the teachings, with the knowledge that I get here, understanding that if I'm going through difficult trials, it's not because God has singled out me and saying, no, Jussara is going to go through terrible troubles in this life. It's because I have to learn something from that. I have to make amends from that somehow. My own conscience demands from me, that I go and I do something, to make amends in relation to something, some errors that I may have committed in the past. So I start learning, I start receiving understanding why do we go through things we have to go through, the good and the bad, why we have certain people around us. It helps us in family relationship. It helps us in our daily lives. And this is what we are here for, to receive this enlightenment, to understand what we are as immortal spirits. The healing will come as a consequence of our inner change. Remember that we say, that they say here, there are ill people and not illnesses. We have to start changing ourselves, innerly speaking. We bring a lot of suffering to ourselves. So to have the opportunity of having places such as this one, and to be here, and to exchange ideas, to talk about this set of knowledge, it's a blessing. It's a true blessing. We don't know if we are going to be having this other opportunity again soon. So we better take advantage from that. It doesn't matter also how big or small the physical place may be. I brought here to you a picture of the Spiritist Center of Chico Xavier. This is the Spiritist Center that Chico Xavier had. It's basically this size. No roof or well-done roof. Very simple, very small. And when we think about what this man could do in such a small and simple and humble place, how many people he consoled, thousands of people. How many spirits he was able to be the voice, their voice to connect with their loved ones. So regardless of the size, of the beauty of the place, what we have to bring here is the beauty of our hearts, the beauty of our intentions. Because the more we are capable of understanding how blessed we are, the more we are going to be able to connect with those benefactors. They are pure light. They are here to help us and to guide us. And they deserve our love. They deserve our respect in each and every way. And this is the reason I like to bring this talk to as many Spiritist Center as I can, so that we can, next time we come here, we already think about all of that. We have these beautiful images that helps us to try to depict, even if a little, the beautiful things that happen here. It's not just one person, a few individuals working in the benefit of others. It's a group, a vast group of spirits working for us, connecting with us, trying to help us, to guide us so that we can be winners in this incarnation. We have been struggling with spirituality, with inner transformation for a long time. This is not the first incarnation that we hear about those things. Absolutely not. But maybe this is the only one that we will be truly workers of the last hour. The opportunity is being given to us. We have this knowledge, we have this understanding. So let us try to use this time to connect with Jesus, with the teachings of Jesus that are going to be helping us in this transformation that we need. To remove from us, the negative traits, the negative feelings, emotions we still harbor within ourselves that hinder our possibility of connection to those benefactors. And every time we come here, let us think about it. Let us raise our thoughts to them in gratitude, because they give us so much. They give us so much more than perhaps we deserve. And they love us. And this is what we have to learn to do, and we will, to learn to love one another, because this is the only way, is that through their love, to the love of Jesus, through the love of our Heavenly Creator, that we are capable of having places such as this one to help us cope, to help us grow, to help us mature, to help us shine to life. So I'm very thankful for this opportunity, to the spirits, to yourselves, to your patients, and God bless us.
Thank you, Jussara, for this beautiful talk, this beautiful explanation, reminder for some of us that how important it is for us to be connected with our mentors, the mentors of the house, with one another when we are trying to wake one another up, as she said. But the beauty of the rescue that it is, the work that is going on behind the scenes when we're in the Spiritist Center. We would like to open up for questions, but before we do so, if you would like to stand, I know it's a little bit of over an hour. We'd like to stand, just stretch up a little bit. It's okay. It's all right. Jussara, you can stay seated. That's fine. That's not a problem. Daniel, if I can ask you to task number 2, so I can, as I go to the question, I'll leave this number 1. Okay. I'll turn this off and I'll let you. Hello? Okay, it works. We would like to remind one another as well, as Jussara showed so many aspects of the Spiritist Center. We do have the book of prayers as well, that if you wish to put the name of someone, a loved one, or someone who perhaps who have discarnated, that we believe that would like to pray, someone who came to us perhaps and said, I did not touch on anything. Say perhaps I need help with this, anything possible that we can think that we can help, or the mentors can help. Even something material that perhaps someone may be in need of, we can put their name here. We can also bring the water, our bottle of water, to bring over here, and that water will be spiritually magnetized, so we can receive also the benefits of the spiritually magnetized water. We show the passes, the services of passes, where we also provide here on Saturdays, as well as on doing the treatment that is obviously by appointment. We'd like to ask if you need that type of service to let us know, but it's a closed meeting that we also provide on Monday for the Spiritist passes for those who are in need. So we have those services, we have those beautiful work here at the Spiritist Society of Baltimore as well, that whoever is in need, please let us know and we will guide you. Even if you have other questions, further questions later on about what we just mentioned, please let us know as well. We would like to open up for questions, comments that you may have about what you heard, or any clarification that you may need. I will go ahead and just let me leave this one with you. Thank you. I will go ahead and open up for, and perhaps just raise your arm, and I will come to you, and I'll let just answer the question. Go ahead. This is the time.
Thank you so much for your talk. I really appreciated it. And one thing that stood out in my mind is talking about when you leave here that sometimes maybe the so-called bad spirits may try to come around you. And what the understanding that I got, I guess I've been coming here for maybe close to 10 years, and I meditate every day, is sometimes I will come across some very, putting it nicely, difficult people. And what instead of saying, oh my goodness, how am I going to deal with them, what I've done now is I turn that around to try to learn from them. So do you have anything else to say, to elaborate, when maybe you are dealing with people that are extremely difficult and they're presenting themselves again and again to you?
Okay. Thank you for asking this question, because I also want to clarify something. When we say that there will be negative spirits outside, it's not only here, okay? They are everywhere, outside of each and every temple, religious temple, and other things. And so they are going to be here as well. Of course, they are here with a purpose. And so we have to be careful with that. People should not be afraid to come just because, oh my God, there might be negative spirits outside, you know. They are under control, okay? It's just we will connect to them, and we can connect with the spirits of this same category in every place that we go. As to people that are difficult, that we will meet along our life, you know, we all go through that, right? Sometimes people are, you know, some are luckier than others, and they do not meet or get across so many people, so many difficult people. Others will have it more. We have to, when we have this knowledge, it has to serve for something more. And in terms of relationship, we should learn not to expect from people more than they can give. Even from ourselves. Sometimes we can be too harsh on ourselves because, you know, for instance, myself, I know all of that, okay? And don't think that sometimes I look myself in the mirror and said, oh my God, what a disappointment. You are. You could be so much better. You know, I'm striving to become better. And so with the same understanding that we all have limitations, that not all of us will have this set of knowledge to understand, you know, the background of people. You know that passage from the Bible that say, if you want to, before criticize a fellow being, take their shoes for 7 days, and then you say something about it. There are people that we are going to meet, they are so bitter. They can be so aggressive. One of the things that have helped me in dealing with these people is I tried first to observe if it's personal or if it's a person's problem. I mean, so let's say that this person is being very aggressive to me. But then I noticed that she's aggressive with you, is aggressive with everyone. So it's not me. So I'm not the one that is the problem, it's the person that is the problem. So in my case, when I look at that, it helps. Because they say, oh, it's not personal, and it's not because of something that I'm doing. It's the way the person is. And now I start pitying this person, because it must be very hard to be someone that bitter, so aggressive. And then I start thinking, what might have happened to this person to be like this, if not in this lifetime, in another lifetime. So what we learn from Spiritism is that the more we are capable of not connecting with negativity, although I know it can be very hard sometimes, you know, the best is going to be for us. It's like, you know, trying to mix oil and vinegar. If I'm oil and that person is vinegar, we can be in the same container. She's not going to contaminate me. So it's up to me not to let the other person contaminate me. And if possible, it's up to me to try to contaminate the other person for goodness. In theory, this is great. In our day-to-day case, not necessarily. We are going to be capable of doing that with certain people, and other people we're really going to be difficult, and we have to struggle. But there is no way, you know, we have a variety of level of spirits on earth. And actually what they say is that by being exposed to difficult people, we are more capable of exercising and virtues that we still need to acquire. To be compassionate, to be patient, to be indulgent, to be tolerant, to be forgiven. And if everything is good, I mean, we just stay the way we are. So I hope it helps.
Thank you. So I love the way you presented the shielding that we should, the spirits are helping, the Spirit Center. But how about in our daily life, or before, way before this time that we're coming, since in the morning? So probably everyone, like me too, experienced that some days the day doesn't go according to the routine or according to what I planned. It seems anything happens. So what will be the tactic that I should be using or prepare myself for the day? You know, not to be just automatic. That sometimes we are. We go, we wake up, brush our teeth and go, but not be aware perhaps. I don't know if that you could give us some tips, not only before we go to sleep,
Okay.
but as soon as we want to start a good day.
Okay, so again, I'm going to speak in theory, okay? I'm still trying to do that, to put that in practice as well. One thing that I think we need to do is to understand better our expectations from the world. We tend to believe that we are happy if I can have a better car, if I can have a better job, or we put everything on the material aspect. And if I do not have those things, I'm not happy and things are bad. We have to start separating the challenges, the struggles we have to go through with the need for us to be happy. We can be happy even when you are enduring the most difficult trial, okay? By accepting it, by understanding it, you're going to be suffering from the trial, sure, but you do not need to put yourself like in a condition of total miserability. And the more we try to focus on materiality, on small things, and lose the sight of the big picture, the more we disconnect from the light, from the good spirits. Have you all seen that ad that they had on TV about the Verizon? When you have, you have that connection, and then there's a lot of people following you. I can only tell this example here in the U.S. Outside, they never saw that. The guy go there, and there is a bunch of people going with the guy. So, this is what we have, or that what we could have in terms of good spirits assisting us. How many bars am I going to have? How much can I connect with the spirits that are around? So it depends on this level of acceptance and resignation as well. Okay? The reason I'm saying that is because, it's absolutely difficult, I'm not going to say impossible for us, not to have problems. I mean, it's just a matter of how great this problem, or if it's just one, right? In just one area of our lives. So if I think like that, I can never be smiling. I can never be happy with my life. So the idea here is not to be completely oblivious or to live in a world that, oh, I'm going to make believe that nothing bad is happening. It's not like that. It's understanding, it's acceptance, it's dealing with the problems, with the challenges, with maturity. It's getting the best crowd possible next to you, connected to you, to help you solve this problem. So in those cases, the best thing we can do is try to be as much connected with spirits that can assist us. And every time we feel we are about to dismay, we are about to give ourselves to, losing hope, I rewind, go back and say, no, I'm not going to maintain myself like that. There are days that I do not feel like getting out of the bed. But then I say, you know what, this is the day that I have to. If I don't feel like it, I can even stay there longer. But if I feel like it, it's the day that I have to. I cannot give myself to, despair, to negativity. And this is, it's an exercise as well. The more we do it, the more we start seeing the results, the more we start feeling the connection with the good spirits, the more we start appreciating the help that they are giving to us. I think it's the only way that we have to deal with life.
Have one final question, perhaps? Final comment? Anyone? Sure, please.
If I pray only by myself, the same time every day, let's put it that way, am I going to have the same treatment? The spirits come before my prayer and the prepared environment?
Yes. If you do that, and you talk to the spirits, and you say, like we do the God at home, right? We normally set a day at the week, a time at the week, where we are going to be dedicating to that prayer. They are going to be there. They will know. And we see that in some of the books from Chico Xavier and Andrea Lewis, when the spirits are here around the house, the earth, and they need a safe place to go, then they go, oh, let's go to the house of this person, because this person normally does the prayer at a regular time, and we are going to find a good ambience there. So we will have the same kind of protection. Again, here we need, 200 spirits. Maybe in my home I just need 10. Okay, here I need highly evolved spirits, PhD spirits. There, just a bachelor is good. Okay, so maybe, but we will always have the spirits. We will always have the assistance. We will always have the protection of the spirits. And this is what is very beautiful, because we can make our own home a Spiritist Center. This is the goal. With our daily behavior, with our daily prayers, with the kind of reading, the kind of people we are bringing home. We have to be careful to whom we also open our doors. Some people can come very, very badly accompanied. When we invite a friend, you say, it's without +1. I don't want the ghost +1, that you may bring to my house and may like to stay there. You never know. Those are things, it's our sanctuary. Our home is our sanctuary. Very much like, the Spiritist Center is a sanctuary. We, for one reason or another, we do not see that, because we like it to be very simple. We don't put crosses, we don't put images of Jesus, we don't put a lot of things that may bring those memories from the past that I'm in a religious place. But this is a religious place. This is a temple. This is a sanctuary in the same way.
Any final words?
Okay.
If not, we'll go to passes.
Final words. Thank you very much. Thank you, spirits. I'm very pleased to be here, for the opportunity, for all the connections, for all the blessings we receive, and I hope to see you soon. Okay?
Thanks again, Jussara. As we mentioned before, we do have our passes, but tonight, because of time, we would like to invite Kirsten, and she will do a very short visualization. And we ask that you, perhaps during the visualization, let's focus, let's connect with the words. Let us multiply what we have inside of us as well. Perhaps whether we're asking, giving thanks, or praising God for this moment and what's to come, what's to happen ahead of us now that we have this knowledge, not only here at the Spiritist Center, but also in our homes as well. So Kirsten, please.
Join me in this moment of a prayerful visualization, we would say. So let's close our eyes if we feel comfortable to. But mainly we encourage people to close their eyes because it's conducive to a meditative state. It's conducive for us to focus, to be mindful, as Jussara was reminding us, to be here. Let us be present in this moment. Let us take a soothing breath in and out, breathing in beautiful energy of tonight, and allowing this all-loving energy to be absorbed to the core of who we are. Let us open up our hearts and our minds continually to allow our spirit mentors and the spirit mentors of the SSB to penetrate our hearts, to allow us to be more permeable to the higher ideals and ideas of life and our purpose. Allow yourself to be in this moment of inner peace. So not only can the specialized spirits, spirit doctors, mentors, whatever name we wish to give it, may be able to be of service to us, but inversely allow us to be of service to those who are in need. Let us envision our collective energy of goodness, a desire to learn, to better ourselves, be able to spread out all around us to this city, inspiring other minds, both incarnate and those in the spirit realm, inspiring all hearts and encourage them to forge ahead on their journeys, despite whatever trials or difficulties or challenges they may encounter. We thank you, dear Creator, for these moments to be with one another, to receive these encouraging ideas and your warm embrace day in, day out. May you bless all those who walk on this pathway, seeking to turn on the lanterns to bring light to where there is darkness. and we remember our model and guide, Jesus, and what he left for us. A remembrance of someone who was loving unconditionally. We thank you, and so be it. Before you get up, again we give thanks so much to our friend Jussara.